Hello and welcome to Sleep with History, where we listen, we learn, and we get sleepy. Thank you for listening tonight. I advise you to stay in a comfortable position, paying close attention to my speech and the sound of the background, and sleep will come in the blink of an eye. Well, today we will continue with the history of the world, now talking a little about Mesopotamia. We will learn about these crazy people who invented writing, the wheel, some serious laws, and even yogurt. We will learn a little about each of the main peoples who lived there. It wasn't just one people. We will learn more about the Assyrians, Babylonians, and also the Sumerians. In this first conversation, we learn the main concepts, words, terms, and some basic ideas about Mesopotamia. And then, yes, in the second conversation, we will learn about formation and politics. In the third conversation, we will learn about economy and society. And in the fourth conversation, we will learn about religion and culture. In just this first video, we will learn 3 bombshells about Mesopotamia. First, why is it called that? Secondly, where is it located? And lastly, we will learn a very strange term, but one that is still widely used, so we have to learn it, which is the Asiatic mode of production. Now, starting from the beginning, why is it called Mesopotamia? It's not even a word from the language of the people there. Actually, it was a Greek who gave it this name. Can you believe that it was a Greek named Polybius? He went there as a tourist in Mesopotamia, and then he started to observe that there was a river on one side, a river on the other side, but he wanted to know the name of that place that was exactly in the middle of 2 rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. And then he called the people there, "Hey, please, I'm from Greece, and I would like to know what this region is called." And the guy replied in a language he couldn't understand. Without understanding anything, he used logic. If I am in the middle of 2 rivers, which in Greek is called Potamos, I am in the Mesopotamos, in the middle of 2 rivers in Mesopotamia. Therefore, Mesopotamia is not the name of a country. It is indeed a region that a Greek went there and said, it is in the middle of 2 rivers, so it is Mesopotamia. In the same trip, this same guy, Polybius, sees an animal in the river, a well-fed animal, which today we know as a hippopotamus, and says, "It looks like a horse. I will call it Hippo," because they called a horse Hippo. And since it is in the river, Potamos again, so it became Hippopotamos or hippopotamus. Look how crazy. The Greeks also gave the name to the hippopotamus. All right, we already know that the region is located between 2 rivers. But if we don't understand the importance of the rivers for these people, we won't be able to understand anything. Because these people lived by the river, not only to drink water and not only to give water to the animals, no. It's much bigger than that. We have to understand that these guys, through the river, they could transport themselves and transport things, wood, stone, other utensils. The river also served as protection. But there's a problem. The river that was their buddy was also their biggest enemy every time spring came. Because in the north, there were many mountains, and these mountains would be covered in ice during the winter. When spring came, it started to get hotter, and this ice started to melt, and people would start to see from afar a flood coming, and the flood would come and destroy everything. All of this, unless you had calculated it, planned it, organized it, because you can't take care of the river alone. You will need a group of people to help you. And then you start to call a group of people and say, "Guys, in a while there will be a crazy river that will drown everyone. The river will come and destroy your house and everyone else's house." And then people had to organize themselves to build a great public work. That is, a bridge, a barrier to protect, or maybe even a dike. A dike is like forming a ditch, a trench, between the river and a faraway place, because the water would be drained away from the city. But it won't be 1, it won't be 2, it won't be 3 guys together who will be able to do this kind of public work. It needs a lot of people, it needs a lot of organization. That's why Mesopotamia is so studied, because it is one of the first places where we see humans organizing themselves, building true cities, building a state, a government, all of this to be able to control nature and stay in the same place for longer. Mesopotamia then is a region, all right? Today it is where Iraq is located, and there were several peoples gathered there. Assyrians, the most warrior people in the north, Babylonians, the most bureaucratic people in the center, and Sumerians, a people full of adventures and cultures in the south. These three peoples and many others lived there, close to the rivers. But we cannot confuse the region of Mesopotamia with the region of the Fertile Crescent, which has the shape of a crescent moon and goes from Mesopotamia, passes through the Jordan River to Egypt. It's time to learn what Asian mode of production means. Why do we call it Asian mode of production, even though other peoples who lived in other regions which were not Asia, like the Egyptians from Africa, were also peoples who lived in Asian mode of production? So it's weird. But in a very summarized way, we can say that this Asian mode of production is a system in which all the goods of a city are owned by the state. The state, the government, would be the owner of all the goods, houses, land, agriculture, everything that happened there, and the government itself would distribute them among the people. The government also defined what each person would do, what each person would work on. So look at how much power that government had over the people. The Asian mode of production is a way of living in which the government has a lot, but a lot of power. Let's talk a little bit about the formation of these Mesopotamian peoples. When we talk about formation, it gives the impression that these guys were created out of nowhere, that a people emerged, a people sprouted out of nowhere. It's not quite like that. Also, because we are talking about people so ancient that it goes back to such an ancient time, so ancient that it goes back to prehistory. So let's go. That region of Mesopotamia had been there for a long time. Prehistoric peoples arrived there, wandering around, found the river cool, and started getting closer and closer to these rivers. The people got so close to these rivers that they started staying there for good. They didn't want to leave anymore. They started settling down. They started creating communities there near Mesopotamia. I'm talking about around 9,000 years before Christ. That is more than 11,000 years ago. It's a long time. Now, the first cities appear approximately 5,000 years before Christ, still in prehistory. It will only become history in the year 4000 before Christ. That is 6,000 years ago. History is only 6,000 years old. Before that, it was prehistory. And the people who mark the division between prehistory and history are the people of Mesopotamia, more precisely the Sumerians, who were the first, the most well-known for creating the initial cities. They were in the south of Mesopotamia. They already built public works to be able to control those crazy floods that came every year. Then after the Sumerians came several other guys: Akkadians, Chaldeans, Assyrians, Babylonians. However, we cannot forget that the formation of Mesopotamia depended a lot on the Sumerian people. Well, what we had to talk about today is that. Now close your eyes, get into a comfortable position, and focus on the sound that sleep will come soon. See you soon.